Hello, everybody. Welcome back to SNA on Sunday, Structural Noetic Astrology on Sunday. It's been quite a while since I made a recording for YouTube. I've been busy with my first book, of course, and as some of you know, I published it on the 15th of May. It's available at Amazon in all countries, and I'll be sharing the link in the comments after this video. So it's been, of course, very exciting sharing this book with the public. And I really believe that it's going to be a revolutionary step in broadening the field of astrology and its association with other disciplines. I think it's a time in our development now that it's not enough to just focus on one speciality, that we really have to approach the search for insight and truth from a multidisciplinary perspective, and that's what I have tried to do in this book, primarily contributing insights from the new science, quantum science, and of course, the most ancient esoteric knowledge that we have available, going back to the Sumerians and the ancient Egyptians, and tracing these aspects of knowledge to astrology and its development. So I thought it might be interesting to share with you some of the things from this book. So I'd like to take a look at the cover, table of contents, and as I can see that it's not able to share it right now, here we are. So here's our cover, and as you can see, it's a design which incorporates the most essential aspects of structural noetic astrology. That is the axes of the black moon with Priapus here at north and south. You've got the black sun and the diamond at west and east. And then you've got the north node and south node at the northwest and southeast, and the dragon and the beast. The dragon is at the northeast, and the beast is at the southwest. And it's an interesting association of all these 8 objects, because of course we get a beautiful Star of David, and inside that, of course, I've got a twisted strand of DNA, which is representative of the insights from the new sciences, epigenetics, but also a variety of new insights into the development of consciousness, and of course the zodiac at the middle representing astrology. So there's a little bit about me, of course, and about the book on this cover. And then we've also got where's my shared screen? The table of contents. So we've got here some of the things which are covered in the first book, and as you can see, the first chapter is completely devoted to a comparison between scientific paradigms through history and astrology, looking at the Hellenistic and the modern and the paradigm of the scientific revolution, but also the more recent discoveries in quantum science. We have a discussion about fractal space and time, about different levels of psychological evolution, and integrating all of this with regards to the development of astrology and structural astrology in particular. Second chapter was really exciting for me to make, because I really had to dig deep to find as much information as possible as to the very origins of astrology. It's a particularly mystifying search, but I've been blessed in finding a couple of sources which have helped me in that. enabling me to go far beyond the traditional source at the Babylonian astrology and the Chaldeans, but to go back much further into the times before the melting of the last ice age, and also some hypotheses about how astrology got passed on. In chapter 3, I really wanted to emphasize the aspect of sacred numbers, sacred numerology, and geography, which of course was especially important to the Greek philosophers such as Pythagoras and Ptolemy. And is also very much relevant to our current development of science, which of course is also based on mathematical concepts. And astrology is clearly related to both of these disciplines, both the esoterics and of science, through its use of mathematics and geometry. So that chapter was really exciting to do. And then from that chapter, we also went on to the more about sacred numerology, and also looking at the music of the spheres, that's earlier in the chapter, and also as different dimensions as represented in mathematics, and how mathematics is actually the universal language, and how the use of mathematics also helps us to understand the language in our DNA. In chapter 4, of course, I get to the myth of Lilith, and this should probably surprise a lot of readers in that far from being a demoness, she was actually a goddess of ancient Sumeria, which was negatively described later by Babylonians and also the Judaic faiths, which tried to discard the wisdom from previous civilizations in order to make their own civilization more powerful. I consider also ancient myths with regard to the Black Sun, as well as destroying a couple of negative and occult associations with the Black Sun, which many people are aware of. We also look at the way to contact for each astrologer to actually come into contact with these luminaries, and how the priests and priestesses of the past had to go through these rituals, as well as rulers, the sacred ritual of death and resurrection as a precedent to a higher state of consciousness, and how the astrologer is also one of the seekers described in the ancient schools of wisdom. Finally, I finish up the book with a new structure suggested by the addition of 2 new planets, which are to be expected, which are past Pluto, and the structure for astrology, which the trans-Saturnal planets imply, but which has never been worked out. And particularly, this structure is necessary in order to be able to analyze the common aspects of consciousness, the metaphysical aspects of the chart, which structural astrology introduces. A little bit of myself in the book, and also how to add the factors in the horoscope, both the manual calculation of the horoscope, but also how you can use a program on the internet, which is free, to find these bodies in your own horoscope. So that's very exciting, and I'm offering it as a paperback at this point, only with black and white pictures. We've got a hardcover, which is also full color. And I've already started working on the 2nd volume. And this is also going to be a very exciting book, because whereas the first book is basically just to provide a context and to allow people to understand the new paradigm that structural astrology works in. In the second part, I actually get to the defining concepts of interpretation, which you need for these additional factors, these new metaphysical factors. So the first thing is, of course, I wanted to show you a little bit about the table of contents in the second book. Of course, we begin with the Black Moon axis and the interpretation guidelines. So these are all. This is also going to include the Black Moon in houses, Black Moon pre-eclipse axis in the houses, and also the signs. Also, some information about how to interpret the different points in the Black Moon complex. Of course, you have 3 points in the lunar orbit, which actually all comprise the concept of Black Moon. You've got the apogee, you've got the dual second focus, and of course, you've got the point between the second focus and the Earth, which could be called the actual center of the lunar orbit. All three of these contribute to understanding the Black Moon as a whole, and also about planets in the Black Moon zone. Also, chapter 2 is all similar. It's about the Black Sun diamond axis in the houses. Of course, it's always in the same signs, in Cancer, in Capricorn. And chapter 3, of course, goes on to the process of the interaction between these two axes. So this is actually the most essential. This provides the metaphysical framework for everything else in the horoscope. Coming to consciousness is actually our purpose here in life. And that is why everything else in the horoscope is actually part of facilitating that process. So chapter 3 is, of course, very important. Then we get to another metaphysical process, the highest metaphysical process, and that is described by the lunar nodes, the North Node and South Node, but also the square axis to these nodes, which is called the dragon and the beast. And the interaction of these four factors describe the process of creation, which is, again, another divine process of consciousness. I describe a little bit more about the dual rulership of heaven and earth. This chapter 5, I've already put in the first book. And the 6th chapter, the last chapter, is about the pars fortuna. The pars fortuna is also one of the highest metaphysical factors in structural astrology, and the pars fortuna horoscope can help you get insight into exactly the development of your life as it proceeds. So finishing also of the online lessons that I've been holding since this past November, a great group, and they're already working on the final assignments for their certification. I'm planning on offering more online lessons in the autumn, so if you're interested, keep my website up to date. And that's pretty much all I wanted to say today. So if you haven't got the book, I'll put the link in the comments, and I'll try to be a little bit more regular about posting films to this channel. Okay, have a great weekend still, and see you very soon.